Welcome. I am Mr. Davis. Today's activity is on animal fat. Why do many Arctic animals have a layer of fat? This is a diagram of the different biomes of the world. The tundra is mostly found in the northern hemisphere. A tundra is one of the coldest biomes. It's actually the coldest of all the biomes. It's classified by low rainfall, few plants, and few animals. The Arctic tundra, which we'll discuss today, is found in the north. It's a harsh climate and it has very limited resources with long cold winters. In these photos of the Arctic tundra, you may notice that there is limited vegetation and animals. Animal scientists study these animals and who live in the area, such as the musk ox, polar bear, and walrus. These animals all have a shared characteristic, a specialized layer of fat that helps them survive in the harsh biome they live in. To begin the activity in your procedure, you'll want to gather your materials. You'll need a pen or pencil, paper, towel, spoon, spatula, bowl or container, shortening, lard, ice cubes, tap water, and 5 Ziploc bags. After you finish gathering your materials, write down what you think is going to insulate the best. Next, add the water and ice cubes into the large bowl or container. Next, you'll grab one of the Ziploc bags, the lard, and your spoon or spatula. You're going to add some of the lard into your Ziploc bag. You'll want to label that bag with what you put in it. I labeled this bag lard. Once you've put the lard into that Ziploc bag, you'll take an empty Ziploc bag, place your hand inside of it, and place that bag inside of the Ziploc bag with lard. This is going to create a pocket where you can place your hand inside of the lard filled bag without getting your hand dirty. Make sure to coat the inside very thoroughly. Spread it around with your hands. I found that laying it flat on the counter also helped, but the object is to get it thoroughly coated on both sides while leaving the pocket inside clean. You will repeat this process with the shortening. You will place the shortening inside of the bag, label the bag, and then create a pocket by adding the empty Ziploc bag into the shortening filled bag. I was careful to use the spatula to make sure that both sides of the empty bag were covered in the shortening. Next, you are going to label an empty Ziploc bag your control. Your control is something that will not change. Make sure your other bags are also labeled. Now, you'll put your hand inside of the control and dip it carefully into the ice water, making sure to keep the lip of the Ziploc bag from dipping into the water. Count how many seconds it takes for your hand to get cold and record it on your piece of paper. Next, you will try it with the lard. You will put your hand inside the pocket you created so that your hand doesn't get dirty, and then place it into the ice water. Make sure to count how many seconds it takes for your hand to get cold. Make sure to keep the bag from dipping into the water, and as you count, lard is a pork based product that is animal fat. Record your findings onto the sheet. Next, you will repeat this process for the shortening. Place your hand inside the pocket you created and count how many seconds it takes to have your hand become cold. You'll want to make sure to keep the bag from dipping into the water. Shortening is made from vegetable oil that has been concentrated into a fat. It has been chemically rendered to be nearly or close to entirely fat. Record your time or the seconds that it took for your hand to get cold onto the piece of paper. After you've recorded your responses, you can test out different variables. I use the control and the shortening and one on each hand and place them into the bowl of ice water to see how each one would affect my hands. I then tried the lard and the control in order to also see what the differences were for each of my hands. After I did this experiment, I then tested the lard with the shortening. It is a very strange sensation to feel the differences in the way the fats insulate from the ice cold water. After you are done with experimenting with the variables, make sure to place them carefully onto the towel. Your next step is to clean up the area. Go ahead and thank your adult supervisor. It's important to respect yourself and your area. Do you think it is important for scientists to study Arctic tundra animals? Why or why not? And do you think a polar bear would survive a Texas summer? Thank you for doing your best today.